Hello there, one and all. You know who I am, ETTemplar, Supreme Misfit, Professional Dipshit, and a special thank you to the supporters. We're doing a review slash opinion on Dead Rising 2. So special thank you to UsagiKoneko for essentially supporting this channel so we can do content like this. I'm going to read a little bit of the plot synopsis, and then I'll get into my opinion about it. So, the game's story sees players controlling Chuck Green, a former motocross rider who finds himself at the center of another zombie outbreak taking place in a casino resort and shopping complex in Nevada, and becomes involved in uncovering the truth behind it. Not only must he survive against zombies roaming the complex by scavenging weapons and supplies, along with rescuing survivors caught up in the incident and dealing with crazed psychopaths, which there should be one on screen. Let's see, crazed psychopaths.
Signature required. I have rounds to do and I'm behind.
You do know there's a
Chuck must also ensure that his younger daughter receives regular treatments of Zombrex, medication that prevent her from turning into a zombie herself after being bitten by her mother during a previous outbreak in Las Vegas. So the story of this, if you get the Supreme rating and do all the good things, it is the most wholesome ending I've ever seen in a video game. And Chuck Green they do such a good job because the character in the story is essentially going through all this bullshit. Well, not bullshit, going through all the zombies and this outbreak. And he's also been set up of this outbreak by TK, the manager and owner of this really morbid, like, motocross game that Chuck is a rider of a motorcycle in. So he gets set up for this outbreak. So the case is following the case and discovering who set him up, why, and who's behind it. So, of course, there's going to be spoilers, and we're going to get right into it. And one thing I absolutely love about Dead Rising 2 is the big, like, anti-Big Pharma message. So, lo and behold, this outbreak, Chuck Green is set up by the Zombrex company. So they release this outbreak to push the stocks because according to the story, there's been multiple outbreaks that have been averted, and people kind of aren't buying Zombrex anymore. Of course, you see this with Pfizer and big vaccine companies, right? And just big pharma in general. So of course they cause this outbreak in this other part of Las Vegas, and so that's one thing I absolutely love about this game is it shows how fucked up Big Pharma is, but yet how they're also needed, and according to the plot, to keep Katie, I think it's Katie, his daughter, alive. So it's the very duality evil of Big Pharma, right? You need them to cure your ailments, but they also create the diseases. So you have to take those ailments with this conspiracy. And again, the ending is just the most wholesome shit I've seen in my life. There should be a few pictures on screen real quick. Just really wholesome. And when you get that S rank for defeating the game and doing all the right things, that cutscene alone in the ending will melt your heart. So the plot of Dead Rising 2 is fantastic. I can't applaud it enough. And this was a game I had played the original Dead Rising on, I believe, Xbox 360 back in the day. And when they came out with Dead Rising 2, I damn well bet that I bought and played it. So this is me just reliving a section of my early childhood playing these games and the psychopaths. And this is why the term video game exists. You're basically playing a movie, and it's good. And it has replayability. Once you defeat the game, it basically restarts. So this game also uses prestige points. So when you kill zombies, you save survivors, complete the case files, you get a certain amount of that. So, and of course, the more you level, the more inventory space, the health you get, and that will also make it easier for facing the bosses. So my only negative could be is, like, once you get the really higher levels, to my knowledge, I think you could reset, or every time you beat it, resets. So you start back at case 1-0 or 0-1. So, but as far as I remember, I don't think the difficulty in the Psychopaths gets ratcheted up. But yeah, this is just a fantastic game, and I can't recommend it enough. And even if it's not on sale, it's well worth the purchase price. My only negative is it might get a little bit grating over time. But then again, I love this game, so I'm not going to have a problem with that. The same thing with Starfield, where I've put thousands of hours. I could put thousands of hours into this because I just love the art design, the weapons. You can craft and mix weapons. If you see on screen, our guy's got, or if you saw on screen, the guy has, like, he's duct taped knives to boxing gloves. So there's all sorts of these weapon combinations that you unlock over time through leveling up, and some of these you don't even need to level up, which is a cool thing they did. If this was a game in our time, they would have made that shit DLC, and they wouldn't even make it possible for you to create these weapon combinations. So I think it's Capcom and Blue Castle Games are behind this, and the composer, Oleska Lazachuk, again, I think the Americano Casino still has the best. I actually even downloaded that soundtrack and I listened to it. Even the soundtrack for this game is amazing, and this is probably one of my favorite games, zombie related games, and just games on the Xbox 360 and even on the PC. And I think it's been remastered recently, which I'll have to try to get to remaster. But it's just, I absolutely love this game. If you're a fan of zombie games and, games that aren't woke, and there's some psychopaths in this game that they could allude to political messaging, but it's done in a way that it doesn't hit you over the head, and these are just psychopaths. That's one thing I appreciate about this game is some of these psychopaths are portrayed in a very sympathetic way, like you saw with the Postman. So they're just normal people that's fucking lost their minds. There's even a hippie at one point that was protesting some terrorist organization called Cure, and he too loses his mind after the result of the zombie outbreak. And I think that's very realistic, that there'd be people who would just lose their mind. Of course, if you saw the horrors of flesh-eating zombies, not everyone would have the mental fortitude to withstand that mental break, and of course there would be PTSD. And I think even Chuck Green, this is just my headcanon, it seems that Chuck Green is kind of scarred in a way, if I had to pick up something about his character. And not only that, this game portrays Chuck Green as a father who will do anything for his children, and I think that's a very positive message in a video game to have. And it's just such a privilege to play a game like this with such a good plot and storyline. And my only negative with this game is that sometimes the controls will mess up because I'm playing on a keyboard and mouse. It doesn't really have controller support for some reason, even after all these years on Steam. So that's kind of hard to get used to, and again, when it freezes up sometimes, it just randomly for half a second, it's a pain in the ass, but it's not game breaking. But I would definitely recommend the hell out of this game. It's a classic, and it's at a time where they favored storytelling, and especially in a day and age where these game studios, games journalists want to portray white men as these evil, sex-crazed maniacs, or these soulless, you've seen it, what DEI is doing with video games and the general public left-leaning horseshit, the wokeism. And this game, it just calls back to the time when it was made, where Chuck Green really is just a father that's doing everything to keep his daughter from turning into a zombie, and it's true masculinity. So the directors, Rob Wallace, the producers and designers, and everyone behind this game, they probably made, in my humble opinion, one of the best games I've ever played in a long time. So just up to this one and Fear, First Encounter, Assault Recons are just cornerstones of my childhood, and it's really a decent game. And if you can get over the keyboard and mouse and some little issues here and there, this game is really top notch, and I couldn't recommend the hell out of it. So with that, I'll end this video here. A special thank you to UsagiKoneko and viewers like you who watch this content. Thank you guys so much, and take it easy, God bless, and I will see you next time.